Non-Americans who have been to the US, what is the weirdest thing about America that Americans don't realize is weird? In Germany, how are you? Is an actual question and you generally only ask it if you know the other person. It was super hard to explain to my mom that the answer is always fine, thank you, and that cashiers don't really care about how you actually feel, when we visited the US in '08. It's strange. Even when you're with a close friend and the conversation is going to be about how you are in fact not fine, it starts as how are you? Fine, thanks. Fun fact. Most languages have some sort of phrase that's mostly used as a greeting. For the US, what's up? How are you, etc. aren't expected to be truthfully answered unless you ask it a second time. In Korea, they often ask if you've eaten. So they'll have conversations like this. 1. Hello. Have you eaten? 2. Yes. And you? 1. Yes. Would you like to get lunch? Like, it's just funny when you think about it, but it's just a greeting. Free refills. Went to a restaurant with my dad, both German, and all of a sudden the waiter took away my drink with another perfectly good sip in it, and I must have looked pretty shocked. It was only then when my dad explained to me that you guys have free refills. How far apart everything is and how little is within walking distance. Location dependent, but I moved to a suburb in the Midwest as a kid and everything was so far away. Without access to a car and without reliable public transportation, it was pretty much impossible to get to a friend's house, unless they lived on your street or something, or go anywhere fun as a kid without relying on parents for a ride. Maybe things are different now with Uber and whatnot, but back then it felt pretty isolating. That's why the '80s look and Stranger Things aesthetic of a group of kids on bikes is so prevalent. For a lot of folks it's the only way to do anything as a kid. Stranger Things bikes are completely on point. That is exactly how my friends and I got around the neighborhood every damn day for anything and everything. The bottom of the toilet cubicle door is higher than a limbo bar. I want to shit in peace. As an American it bothers me too. Fancier restaurants have low doors, which should be standard. The standard should be entirely enclosed. The amount of commercial breaks in a TV show. I find American TV to be unwatchable, honestly. The cycle just breaks my brain. 3 minutes content, 1 minute cliffhanger, 2 minutes advertisement, 1 minute recap, rinse and repeat. Makes me feel like a hamster on amphetamines after 5 minutes. I find it crazy how they will introduce the show, run the credits and then AD break. The show hasn't even really started yet? That's why television is dying and everything is going to streaming services. I don't know anybody who watches anything but sports on live TV. Canuck here. Ads on TV for medication. Billboard ads for lawyers. Ads for hospitals, TV ad for lawyers as well. Was there recently an ad for a lawyer specializing in molestation cases came on. Have you been touched by a priest or your uncle? Call us today. Wait. What? Better call Saul. The tipping. It is so weird that it's a requirement instead of a reward for great service. Every time I've visited the US I've absolutely hated the tipping culture, along with the constant upselling culture. Add into that the lack of sales tax in any prices and you just end up as a foreigner not having a clue what you're actually going to have to pay for anything. The tipping was everywhere. We took a helicopter trip over the Grand Canyon as a special occasion for our family, and the pilot wanted a tip at the end. So, the trip was $800, so what do I tip? $10? $100? I just ended up giving the guy a 20 because that's all I had in cash on me, but then ended up feeling like he thought I was a tight bastard. How am I supposed to know whether the guy is underpaid and needs tips to make it up to a livable wage or whether he's already perfectly well paid? Of course we knew from the start that he'd be wanting a tip since he spent most of the trip emphasizing how much he personally wanted to ensure our enjoyment and seeing if we wanted bottled water. That there are a lot of squirrels. There used to be more. There was a war on squirrels back in the late 1800s/early 1900s where they were such a pest we tried to eradicate them through various methods and had children massacring them and shit. My dad used to kill prairie dogs for dimes in the 1940s. As a teen, I had a caterer/hunting partner make me some stew that was delicious, until he told me that it was raccoon and woodchuck. Didn't want any more, but it was good. 60s. Legal drinking age at 21. It's really weird, especially at age 18 people consider you as an adult. Yup. You can star in a porno at 18, and own a house, but having a beer is out of the question. So stupid. You can make the decision to go to college which may or may not be for you at 18, which could lead to crippling debt, but no beer. Take a bullet for your country but no butt for you. Everything's so big. From the supercenter Walmart store to food portions, the parking lot, pickup trucks, house, cup of coffee, airport, even the people. If you think that's big, check out Costco. Welcome to Costco, I love you. Hawaiian here, but I never noticed that we didn't have billboards until I moved out of Hawaii. Turns out they're illegal. So that's weird. It's awesome, cause I get unobstructed views, but still weird. They are also illegal here in Alaska. When I moved to Florida for a while last year I realized how much I liked not having them everywhere. Vermont and Hawaii are the only ones with the ban on billboards. I never appreciated it till I visited relatives in the lower 48 and it's fugly billboards as far as the eye can see. I'd rather look at miles of boring cornfield instead of ants lol. But how will you know you're only 86 miles away from south of the border or wall drugs? Some European told me that it's crazy how restaurants are loud and busy and how people eat quick and leave. For him it was normal to sit around and talk for an hour or more after eating in a restaurant. I'm gonna guess that this plays into the idea of tipping being required. So much so that when my friends and I stay a little longer we actually end up tipping more than usual. The more people that a waitress can get in a seat the more money she can make. German here, this Saturday I was at an Italian restaurant. We got there around 6, stayed until 1 a.m. Going there was the whole plan for the evening, so why should we leave? We went to a bar afterwards, but it was loud and we could not talk to each other, so most people just left after the first drink. I don't think a single table had more than one party that evening. On average we had like 10 drinks, so it's not like they don't make money off people sitting there. But it really depends on the place. If it does not offer cocktails, spirits and coffee, it is not uncommon to leave after the meal. I live in the south and one time I was hanging out with a friend smoking by a lake in late spring, early summer. He was Egyptian and had just moved here over the winter. All of a sudden he freaked out saying he was seeing weird lights in the trees. I thought he was too high or something before I realized he meant the lightning bugs. He'd never seen them and didn't know what they were, so I started catching them and he was mind blown that they were just a normal seasonal thing. I cannot stop laughing at this. Picturing two high people trying to figure out lightning bugs is fucking hilarious. They're such a normal part of my life that I've never thought about someone having never seen them. Thanks for the laugh. Tax. I find it annoying how in America tax is added after you check at the cashier. In Australia tax is included in the price, e.g. if the price says $6 you pay $6. But in America if it costs $6 it's actually $6.07 or something. I just have found it a nuisance. Not me. But my cousins who had lived in Kuwait and Australia for many years came to visit my family back in Texas and laughed at how we said y'all. People used to make fun when Southerners said that. Now people are saying that all over the world. I was watching a vid from some London vlogger and he said y'all. I clutched my pearls. Bless his heart. It's a useful contraction. I'm born and raised in Seattle, about as far as you can get from y'all, but I find myself using it more and more. Canadian here. I was blown away by how weirdly social people are with strangers. Like some random guy I've never seen before just starts telling me his life story on the street. He is super normal, and doesn't seem crazy, just wants to talk to me for some reason. But then also, the dude at Wendy's is loudly threatening some 16-year-old cashier in front of like 45 people. I got the impression the Wendy's guy was uncool, but the other guy seemed normal, and where I live I generally assume that a stranger talking to me for no reason is either crazy or high. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Understandable, have a great day. Lemonade made with real lemons and it's like super sour but somehow sugary sweet at the same time. In Australia lemonade is the same as Sprite. So when I was there my mum and I ordered Jack Daniels and lemonade and they made it with the real lemonade and it was awful. It was also weird because they sold pre-mixed bottles of Jack's and lemonade with the real lemonade, but in Australia you buy the same ones with Sprite lemonade. Free refills was the other big one. Everywhere has free refills as many times as you like? Never seen that before. Free refills are great for everyone, monetarily, not healthily, because you can drink however much you want without going up and paying again, and each refill only costs the company a few cents, so they will always have big profit margins. Sometimes restaurants even take a loss on some food items hoping that people will buy a drink with it to more than make up the difference. Why the F is your bread sweet? We don't know either. Because of the Great Depression, some enterprising individual decided to put essential vitamins and minerals in bread, but that was basically dirt flavoring, so they covered it up with extra sugar. And 70 years later, here we are. Flags. Everywhere. It's not as if you're likely to forget where you are. In Tyler, Texas there's an enormous flag, like 100 feet by 50 feet, that is always flying. It's so huge it doesn't look real. You almost can't get used to it even if you see it 3 or 4 times a week. I haven't been there in years, but I can still clearly picture that giant flag. There's a big-ass flag at a car dealership in my town too. East Texas really is a unique place, isn't it? American here. One huge difference I noticed being in Germany was that our toilets are puny and wimpy. The first time I flushed a toilet there it sounded like a jet engine and I swear the air pressure dropped in the room. That is a proper toilet. In Japan, we have streams of water that go up your asshole. After visiting Japan I have to think they are disgusted by the rest of the shit-smeared butt-wiping world. This comes up every time this question is asked, but for me, it's the shoes indoors. I can't get over it and I feel uncomfortable in people's homes in my shoes. They let you use their bathroom and insist you wear your shoes that you were just wearing outside. They will eventually step in there in bare feet. Why? I don't understand this one either. I grew up with a mother who would not allow shoes on in the house under any circumstances. It feels weird for me to go to someone's house and keep my shoes on. I lived for a long time in different places around the world, and something that I really missed when moving to a new town was the lack of a US-style bar where it was easy for a stranger to meet people. Outside of the US, it is rare to find a bar where everyone just sits and faces the same direction, whether or not a sporting event was playing on the television. Instead, they have a more public environment, where everyone is sitting in groups at their individual tables. This makes meeting new people extremely difficult. Think about it, with the table-style bar, in order to strike up a conversation with a stranger, you literally have to approach them while they are sitting at their own table with their own friends. It's almost impossible to not look like a total freak. In a proper Cheers-style bar, you can just say some random phrase to the bartender and if the person sitting next to you wants to talk, they'll just join in on the conversation. Basically, in non-US bars, if you aren't invited ahead of time by someone, you are damned to sit alone in some corner of the bar. This makes sense. I'm not American, never understood how Americans went to meet new people at bars. I only ever go with friends. Subscribe for more amazing stories. I said subscribe now. Otherwise this will open the door and eat you when you are asleep.